So how long have you been playing D&D?
I've been playing for like 2 years. It'll be like 2 years in January or something.
I feel like I've been playing all of college, so like 4 years by now. Because like in high school, I didn't like come into my full nerdy potential, which is like bizarre to me for me to like think about, but like it's kind of true. And then I got here and then really dove in.
Yeah, I was born a nerd, but my first game was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I filled in for my friend when he was running a one-shot and he needed another player.
I started in March.
Cool, good.
Yeah, really recently. And it's 100 only because of it's 100% because of NADPOD, nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, I probably like thinking about it. I probably wasn't like interested in playing D&D until like I started listening to the Adventure Zone, where I was like, oh, I'm interested in like. Intrigued by D&D, and then like listen to people play it, and I was like, oh, that's not that hard.
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing for me. It was like, hey, that's something that would make sense for me to enjoy, but it was always just like, you need so many people, you need to know all the rules, you need da 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 da, and then like just listening to a bunch of people playing it, you can figure out the rules. So I went from there.
I like that I don't actually like really have to know the rules, like I do, but it's more like improv. And I think Anthony Birch, who's the DM for Dungeons and Daddies, I don't know if you all know this, but he said like the game is only as fun as like the players make it, and like if you rules lawyer them all the time, it's not going to be as fun. And like I feel like that's really stuck with me. And like my favorite thing about D&D is just doing improv with your friends, which is basically what it is, and then sometimes you roll a dice.
Kind of like it for all the rules, to be honest. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I am a fan of the Player's Handbook.
I think that's the coolest part about D&D is that like everyone can have different levels of like playing expertise. Not a lot of other things have the same opportunity to do, because it's like so D&D is like so interactive like that, and I think everyone can have different levels of like playing experience and still have a successful game or like a successful friendship or whatever.
The answer is that 5e is easy.
It's an easy point of entry, yeah, for sure.
No one would be listening to people play 4th edition, or almost nobody, because it was so not about storytelling. It was all about the dice rolls. So yeah, 5e definitely made it a lot more accessible, just because as soon as a normal person realizes you roll the dice and that determines the outcome, and they can see that, you know, it's not just James Bond leaping from the train car and adjusting his cufflinks because he's James Bond. He had to roll a 20 for that.
I think that a lot of people are interested in, collaboratively making a story. Sometimes we don't all have the time and effort to write our own novel, but we have a few hours every week, maybe every other week, to play a stupid game with our friends.
Yeah, and I think because I think podcasts are like the most like prevalent source of like D&D content right now, obviously. Like the theory behind that is like for listeners, it's the same thing of like you can carve out 2 hours of your week every other week, let's say, to listen to people make a story that with like characters that you're invested in, and then move on with your life until the next episode.
Yeah, but I also think that this kind of points out that Dungeons and Dragons content is so much more accessible, because it's so easy to flip from talking about someone else's sessions to, yeah, and then I had the exact same thing happen in this session, except that it turned out this way.
Yeah, I mean, the base line of like, even if you're not using like the same preset game, the baseline of like, we got into a fight and then we didn't feel like doing the whole fight, so we just like, I got on my friend's shoulders and we both used our swords at the same time to stab him instead of rolling separate initiatives. You can just do that, and like this experience is universal to an extent of like, we aren't playing the game, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. And people just kind of accept that weird stuff like that happens. Like if you were watching a James Bond film and two children in a trench coat showed up and started stabbing simultaneously, it wouldn't fly. it fits this weird middle ground between structured stories and structured games in a really free-form way.